There is a war happening inside you right now. It is not fought with loud screams or clashing steel. It is fought in the silence of your own mind when you know exactly what you must do, but you just can't move. You tell yourself you are just tired. You tell yourself you will start tomorrow, but tomorrow comes and the heaviness remains. The Japanese masters understood this paralyzing force. They knew that laziness is not a lack of energy. It is a lack of alignment. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman who ever lived, never relied on motivation. Motivation is for amateurs. Motivation is fickle. Instead, the samurai used a specific psychological technique to bypass the brain's resistance, a method so subtle it was often forbidden to be taught to outsiders because it made the difficult dangerously easy. Modern society tells you to hustle, to grind, to push until you break. They are lying to you. The ancient way is not about moving the mountain. It is about the art of the pebble. It is called Kaizen. In this video, we will not just tell you to work harder. We will teach you the exact 3-step method to rewire your brain, destroy procrastination, and turn action into an automatic reflex. By the end of this story, you will never need willpower again. Welcome to Calm and Command. Let us begin. Kyoto, 1612. The rain hammered against the roof of the small dojo, a relentless rhythm that seemed to mock the young man lying on his futon. His name was Kenji. He was not sick. He was not injured. He was stuck. It was noon. The other students of the Iron Mountain School had been training since dawn. Kenji could hear their shouts, the clack of wooden swords, the thud of bodies hitting the earth. He knew he should be there. He knew his duty. He knew his potential. But a heavy, invisible hand pressed him down into the mattress. Laziness, procrastination, the tomorrow disease. Kenji told himself the lies we all tell ourselves. I will start fresh tomorrow morning. I need to feel motivated first. I am just gathering my strength. But deep down, he knew the truth. He was paralyzed. He was a prisoner of his own inaction. Meanwhile, in a cave not far from the city, the legendary Miyamoto Musashi sat in silence. Musashi was known as a demon of discipline. He wrote, painted, meditated, and trained with a consistency that terrified normal men. He never seemed to rely on motivation. He never seemed to fight the urge to sleep in. Why? How did the masters of old destroy the weakness that plagues 99% of men today? Most people think the cure for laziness is a sudden burst of willpower. They think it is screaming at yourself in the mirror. They are wrong. The Japanese masters discovered a secret technique, a method so subtle, so counterintuitive that it was often forbidden to be taught to outsiders. It is called Kaizen. The question isn't, how do I force myself to work? The question is, how do I make the work so small I cannot fail? This is the story of how Kenji defeated the invisible enemy, and how you can too. Chapter 1. The Weight of the Mountain. Kenji finally dragged himself out of bed at 1 p.m. The shame was a physical taste in his mouth, bitter like old tea. He walked to the training grounds, hoping to slip in unnoticed. Master Hideo was waiting. Hideo was an old man, shrunk by age, but with eyes that pierced through excuses like a spear. He didn't yell. He didn't scold. He simply pointed to a massive pile of rocks in the corner of the courtyard. Kenji, the master said softly, you are late. I was unwell, sensei, Kenji lied. My spirit was heavy. Your spirit is not heavy, Hideo said. Your mind is greedy. Kenji blinked. Greedy? He was the laziest student here. How could he be greedy? You look at the mountain of work. Hideo pointed to the distant peaks. And you try to swallow it whole. That is why you choke. That is why you do not start. Hideo handed Kenji a shovel. Move that pile of rocks to the other side of the yard. Do not stop until it is finished. Kenji looked at the pile. It was enormous. It would take days. Immediately, that familiar heavy feeling washed over him. His chest tightened. His energy vanished. The task was too big. The gap between where he was and where he needed to be was a canyon he couldn't jump. He started digging, but his movements were sluggish. He looked at the pile, calculated how much was left, and felt despair. After an hour, he leaned on the shovel, exhausted, not by the work, but by the thought of the work. Hideo returned. He saw Kenji resting. "You are defeated before you swing the shovel," Hideo said. "You are obsessed with the finish line. Therefore, you cannot start the race." "But Sensei," Kenji pleaded, "I want to be great. I want to be a master swordsman. But when I think of the years of training, the pain, the discipline, I freeze. I just want to go back to sleep." Hideo nodded. "This is the disease of the great leap. You believe that to change your life, you must make a massive, radical change. You think you must train for 8 hours or not at all. You think you must write the whole book or not at all." Hideo picked up a single, small pebble. He held it in front of Kenji's face. "The brain, what we now call the amygdala in modern science, fears change," Hideo said, speaking with the wisdom of centuries. "Big changes trigger fear. Fear triggers resistance. Resistance triggers laziness. Laziness is not a character flaw, Kenji. It is a defense mechanism. You are trying to protect yourself from the pain of a massive task." Hideo dropped the pebble into Kenji's hand. "To destroy laziness, we do not use force. We use stealth. We sneak past the brain's defense. We do not move the mountain. We move the pebble. From tomorrow," the master announced, "you are forbidden from training for 2 hours. You are forbidden from working hard." Kenji was confused. "Forbidden?" "Yes. You will learn the forbidden art of Kaizen, the art of the 1-minute way. If you try to do more, you will be expelled." Chapter 2. The 1-minute principle. The next morning, Kenji woke up. The usual dread sat on his chest. "I have to train," he thought. Then he remembered the master's order. He walked to the dojo. Master Hideo was waiting with a timer, an hourglass filled with a tiny amount of sand. 1 minute, Hideo said. "You will practice your sword swing for exactly 60 seconds. When the sand runs out, you must stop. If you continue, you fail." Kenji laughed nervously. 1 minute? Sensei, that is nothing. That is useless. I will not get strong in 1 minute. Silence, Hideo commanded. "Do it." Kenji drew his bokken, wooden sword. He swung. 1, 2, 3. He focused on his form. It was easy. There was no pressure, no voice in his head saying, "You have 3 hours left." It was just 1 minute. The sand ran out. "Stop," Hideo ordered. "But Sensei," Kenji said, feeling a strange sensation. He actually wanted to continue. "I am just getting warmed up. Let me do more." "No," Hideo said firmly. "Go home." Kenji left, frustrated, but for the first time in years, he didn't feel shame. He felt incomplete. He felt a hunger. Day 2. Same routine. 1 minute of meditation, not an hour. Just 1 minute. Kenji sat, breathed, and before his mind could get bored or distracted, the time was up. "Stop," Hideo ordered. "Go home." Day 3, Day 4, Day 5. By the end of the week, something miraculous was happening inside Kenji's brain. The dread was gone. The activation energy, the massive effort required to start, had vanished. Because the task was so small, his brain didn't register it as a threat. There was no fear, and without fear, there was no laziness. Hideo sat Kenji down on the 7th day. "Do you understand what has happened?" Hideo asked. "I feel lighter," Kenji admitted. "I don't dread the training. In fact, I look forward to it. I want to do more. This is the first principle of Kaizen," Hideo explained. "The principle of the low bar. Laziness is built on the fear of difficulty. By making the action laughably small, you bypass the fear. Modern science calls this neuroplasticity. You are rewiring your brain. You are building a neural pathway for the habit without the emotional weight of the work. You are teaching yourself that you are a person who shows up." "But Sensei," Kenji asked, 1 minute is not enough to become a master. Hideo smiled, a rare, terrifying smile. Correct. 1 minute is the seed. Now that the root has taken hold, we let the tree grow. But we grow it slowly. So slowly, the body does not notice. Chapter 3. The compound effect. 1% better. Week 2 began. Hideo changed the rule. Today you will train for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Kenji nodded. Easy. He did it without thinking. Week 3. 2 minutes. Week 4. 5 minutes. To an outsider, the progress seemed painfully slow. The other students were training for hours. They mocked Kenji. Look at him, they whispered. The 1-minute samurai. He is lazy. He does nothing. Kenji felt the sting of their words. He went to Hideo, angry. They laugh at me, Kenji said. They are advancing faster. I am still crawling. Hideo poured tea into 2 cups. Tell me, Kenji, where is Taro? Taro was the strongest student in the dojo, the one who trained 10 hours a day. I haven't seen him in 2 days, Kenji realized. Taro has burned out, Hideo said, sipping his tea. He injured his shoulder, pushing too hard. Now he must rest for a month. He tried to sprint up the mountain, and he fell. Kaizen is the torture of the tortoise, Hideo continued. It is the relentless, unstoppable forward motion. It is based on the law of compounding. A 1% improvement every day seems invisible, but over a year, it makes you 37 times better. The other students rely on motivation. Motivation is like the weather. It changes. Some days it is sunny, some days it rains. When it rains, they stop. You are building discipline. Discipline is like the earth. It is always there. By adding just a little bit each day, so little you don't feel the pain, you are tricking your body into greatness. Hideo drew a graph in the dirt, a steep line that went up and crashed down, the crash and burn cycle, and a gentle, straight line that went up and never stopped. This is the forbidden technique, Hideo whispered. Society screams, hustle, grind, go hard. That is a trap. That is how they keep you weak. They make you try too hard, fail, and then quit. The true master moves so slowly, you do not see him moving until he is standing at the summit, looking down on you. Kenji returned to his training. He stopped looking at the other students. He stopped looking at the mountain. He looked only at his feet. Today, just 1% more than yesterday. Chapter 4. The Plateau of Boredom. 6 months passed. Kenji was no longer doing 1 minute. He was training for 2 hours a day. He had built up to it, second by second, minute by minute. It felt effortless. It was just who he was now, but a new enemy arrived. An enemy more dangerous than the heavy weight of laziness, boredom. The novelty had worn off. The excitement of the new method was gone. The repetition was grinding him down. Swipe, step, strike. Swipe, step, strike. Day after day, Kenji sat by the river, throwing stones into the water. What is the point? He thought. I am just repeating the same things. I am not special. This is the moment where most people quit. They get past the initial laziness. They build a routine, but then the routine becomes a prison. They crave stimulation. They scroll social media for a hit of dopamine. They start a new project, abandoning the old one. Master Hideo found Kenji by the river. You are bored, Hideo stated. I am, Kenji admitted. I feel like a robot. Is this all there is? Just repetition? You are looking for entertainment, not mastery, Hideo said sternly. Miyamoto Musashi once wrote, do not seek pleasure for its own sake. The amateur gets bored and quits. The professional gets bored and realizes this is the work. Hideo sat beside him. Let me tell you the secret of the Japanese craftsmen, the shokunin. You know the sword polishers. They spend 10 years learning to polish 1 inch of steel. Do you think they are excited every day? No, but they do not see it as repetition. They see it as refinement. Laziness returns when the mind loses interest, Hideo explained. To destroy this form of laziness, you must change your lens. You must stop looking for new things to do and start looking for new depth in the old things. When you swing your sword today, do not just swing it. Feel the grain of the wood. Feel the wind on your skin. Feel the exact muscle fiber twitch in your forearm. Find the universe in the details. This is called immersive presence. When you go deep, boredom vanishes. Boredom is just a lack of attention. Hideo gave Kenji a challenge. For the next week, I want you to clean the dojo floor. But you cannot just clean it. You must map every knot in the wood. You must know the floor better than you know your own face. Kenji scrubbed. At first, it was a chore, but as he focused, really focused, he began to see the patterns. He saw the history of the dojo in the scratches. He saw the beauty in the wood grain. His mind quieted. The time flew by. He realized that laziness was often just a symptom of a distracted mind. When he was fully present, fully engaged in the micro details, there was no room for fatigue. Chapter 5, The Crisis, The Test of Fire. 1 year later, the Iron Mountain Dojo faced a crisis. A rival school, the Serpent Clan, had challenged them. But this was not a duel of swords. It was a challenge of endurance. The local lord needed a dam built before the monsoon season arrived in 3 days. If the dam was not built, the village would flood. The lord declared that whichever dojo moved the most earth and stone would become the royal guard. The Serpent Clan arrived with hundreds of men. They were massive, shouting, beating drums. They attacked the work with ferocity. They sprinted with heavy sacks of dirt. They worked through the night, fueled by adrenaline and pride. The students of the Iron Mountain looked at Master Hideo. "We must hurry. We must work all night." "No," Hideo said calmly. "We will work with Kaizen." The students were confused. "But Sensei, we need speed." "Speed comes from smooth action," Hideo said. "Panic creates mistakes. Mistakes cost time." He turned to Kenji. "Kenji, you will lead the pace." Kenji stepped forward. He didn't look like the lazy boy from a year ago. He stood straight, his energy calm and contained. "We will work in shifts," Kenji commanded. 45 minutes of work, 15 minutes of rest. We will not run. We will walk with rhythm. We will not carry the heaviest stones to show off. We will carry what we can handle without stopping. The Serpent Clan laughed at them. "Look at the turtles. They are resting while we work." By the first night, the Serpent Clan was ahead. They had moved mountains of earth, but their men were gasping. Their hands were bleeding. Their form was breaking down. Kenji kept the Iron Mountain students in rhythm. Dig, lift, walk, return. No drama, no hustle, just relentless, small actions. By the second day, the dynamic shifted. The Serpent Clan began to collapse. Men were fainting from exhaustion. Their pace slowed to a crawl. They started arguing, fighting, blaming each other. The Great Leap had burned them out. Kenji's team kept the same pace. They were tired, yes, but they were not broken. The 15-minute rests replenished their spirit. The focus on small stones kept their minds from being overwhelmed by the size of the dam. "Just one more sack," Kenji told them. "Do not think of the wall. Think of this sack." It was the 1-minute principle applied to a massive scale. By the morning of the 3rd day, the Serpent Clan had stopped completely. They were destroyed. The Iron Mountain students placed the final stone. The dam was finished. The Lord approached Master Hideo. "Your men are not the strongest," the Lord observed, "but they did not stop." "How?" Hideo pointed to Kenji. "Because they did not fight the mountain. They fought the urge to rush. They mastered the art of the small step." Kenji looked at his hands. They were calloused, strong. He realized he hadn't felt the heavy spirit of laziness in months. He had destroyed it, not by killing it in a glorious battle, but by starving it. He starved it of fear. He starved it of drama. He starved it of the overwhelming pressure of perfection. Chapter 6. The Modern Application, the Science of Kaizen. Let us step out of the dojo and into your life. You are watching this because you feel like Kenji at the beginning of the story. You have a dam to build. Maybe it is starting a business. Maybe it is getting in shape. Maybe it is fixing your mental health. And you are paralyzed. You are lying in bed, scrolling, feeling the weight of the potential you are wasting. You are waiting for motivation. You are waiting to feel like a member of the Serpent Clan, full of fire and energy. But remember the story. The Serpent Clan lost. The Japanese concept of Kaizen, Kai equals change, Zen equals good, teaches us that big is the enemy of done. Here is the forbidden technique broken down into 3 steps you can use the moment this video ends. Step 1. The lowering of the bar. Stop trying to do an hour. Stop trying to write 1,000 words. Set a goal so small it insults your ego. Do 1 push-up. Read 1 page. Meditate for 30 seconds. Your brain will not fight this. It will slip past the laziness guard. And once you start, the friction disappears. Step 2. The non-zero day. Make a vow to yourself. You do not need to be a hero every day, but you must not have a 0 day. If you are sick, if you are tired, if you are depressed, you do the bare minimum. You do the 1-minute version. This keeps the rhythm alive. As Master Hideo said, discipline is like the earth. It must be consistent. Step 3. Process over outcome. Kenji failed when he looked at the mountain. He succeeded when he looked at the shovel. Stop fantasizing about the result, the money, the body, the status. That is a trap. It makes the current moment feel painful by comparison. Fall in love with the boredom. Fall in love with the repetition. Find the universe in the details. Chapter 7. The Master's Final Lesson. Years later, Kenji became the master of the Iron Mountain Dojo. A young student came to him, crying. "Sensei," the boy said, "I am lazy. I am broken. I cannot do what you do." Master Kenji smiled. He reached into his robe and pulled out a single, small pebble. "You are not broken," Kenji said gently. "You are just carrying too much." He placed the pebble in the boy's hand. "Do not try to move the mountain today. Just move this." "But Sensei," the boy asked, "what if I want to do more?" "Then do more tomorrow," Kenji replied. "But today, just move the pebble." Laziness is not a monster. It is a shadow, and shadows cannot exist when you shine the light of action upon them. Even a small light, even a candle. At Calm and Command, we do not believe in the fake hype of hustle culture. We believe in the ancient way, the quiet way, the way of the warrior who walks slowly but never stops walking. You have a choice today. You can close this video and think about how much work you have to do and let the weight crush you back into inaction. Or you can apply the forbidden technique. Turn off the screen. Find one thing, one tiny microscopic thing that moves you forward. Wash 1 dish, write 1 sentence, do 1 squat, and then do it again tomorrow. The mountain will move, not because you pushed it, but because you didn't stop digging. This is the Kaizen method. This is the way of the samurai. This is Calm and